All right. So not a lot of detail on the blood-brain barrier, but I do want you to know what those barriers are that prevent substances and what substances are actually capable of moving through that membrane into the brain. All right, now your book actually divides the brain up and looks at the embryological development of the brain. I'm not going to get into all that. And then the approach that the author takes to presenting these different brain regions is based on the embryological development. But basically what we have is we have the brain stem, which is this. That's what you kind of had to work on Monday for today. Okay, the brain stem, so the medulla oblongata, the pons, and the midbrain. Notice that the midbrain here is split into an anterior and posterior portion by that cerebral aqueduct. And we have the cerebellum. Obviously the cerebrum. And then we have this structure kind of in the middle here, which they call the diencephalon. So you got the brainstem, cerebellum, the diencephalon, and the cerebrum. Now the brainstem and diencephalon can be broken down into additional structures, but I guess the cerebrum can as well. Cerebellum is the cerebellum. Cerebrum, as you should know, has multiple lobes. The occipital lobe in the back, the parietal lobe kind of up on the top lateral portions, temporal lobes kind of on the side here, which this here would be temporal lobe, but this would be looking at it over here. And then the frontal lobe here. Now all those are listed on that table that's on Blackboard. What do we find in the diencephalon? Choroid plexus. This is the thalamus here. This is the hypothalamus. And this here is what we call the epithalamus, also known as the pineal gland. And all those are also listed on that table. All right, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to continue to work on this for Monday, that table. Do I have mine here? I want you to pay close attention to the location. And here's what I want you to do. Don't just say it's here. I want you to use terminology. Anterior, posterior, superior, inferior, lateral, medial, deep, superficial. I want you to use those terms to describe the location of these different parts of the brain to one another. For example, this is what I wrote about the pons. Superior to the medulla oblongata, anterior to the inferior and... I missed something there. Anterior to the cerebellum, and slightly anterior and inferior to the midbrain. Okay, so if I were to give you a description like that on the exam, I'd want you to be able to tell me what brainstem structure I'm talking about. Okay, that's going to help you understand this terminology too, directional terminology. Hold on.
Like what is anterior to the cerebellum and superior to the medulla oblongata?
Correct. Well, you could say the midbrain too.
Yes, sir.
Now, as far as the description is concerned, description and function kind of go together, but I guess description, I'm talking more about anatomical description. Is there, anything specific related to its structure? And then functions, what does it do? And then notable structures associated with that particular region, specifically cranial nerves, or any other kind of landmark structures that might be important. Okay? Now you should have medulla oblongata, pons, and midbrain done. I'd like you to finish that up for Monday, and then that will be your study guide. Okay? And I'll see if I can find any videos or anything on Blackboard that might help you with some of these descriptions and functions. On Monday, we will go over the cranial nerves and get through as much as Chapter 15 as possible. Everything is online for Chapter 15.